Alright, so I'm doing a bit of an unconventional recording. My microphone unfortunately died and I need to replace it. Haven't had a chance to do that yet. So hopefully this video and audio syncs up good. But anyways, a little bit of an unconventional video for you guys today. I've done a number of car videos on my channel because I love computers and I love cars. And my car videos do okay. I'm not putting this on a separate channel because I'm hoping that I get enough eyes to justify this purchase. What I have here is my brand new to me 2000 Cadillac Catera. And these have been branded as probably one of the worst cars ever made. And I don't know if that reputation is necessarily earned from what the car is, more so of how the car was marketed, and who owned the cars, especially after the first generation. Now, I know that there were some recall issues with the first couple of years, and then this is a facelift model, 2000. They were facelift, supposedly fixed a bunch of the issues that were in the previous years, but by then, the reputation that it had is the reputation that it had. Anyways, so what is a Cadillac Catera? For those of you who don't know, it was Cadillac's attempt, and they've had a few of these. They had the Cimarron, which was a rebadged Chevy, and this is a rebadged Opel, a German car, that they wanted a smaller car that was sportier, that they could sell for cheaper, that would target younger buyers. Because it's critical for car manufacturers to get somebody in young, get them in early, and keep them as long as you can. A good example of this is Toyota. Toyota had a Scion brand, which then would hopefully get people into the Toyota brand. As they got older, would move them into the Lexus brand. And so you kind of have this progression, and they have cars that fit different price categories and different things to kind of move people through their product line, so that when somebody buys a car when they're young and they don't have much money, they have a good experience with that car, and then their next car that they consider will be of the same brand. And that's something Cadillac was definitely going for. They were also trying to compete with the European sports sedans. You had your Mercedes-Benz and your BMWs that were dominating the market of that luxury sports sedan. And so Cadillac came out with this, and it is rear-wheel drive. Again, it is an Opel Omega B, which was a very popular car in Europe. In fact, I lived in Europe in 2003 and 2004, and I saw a ton of Opel Omega Bs all over the road. So it was a car I was actually pretty familiar with when I came back to America. And they really wanted to have that European engineering and European design and market it here in America. But the problem that I think initially that they had, besides the quality issues, because people can actually forgive a lot of quality issues. There's some pretty terrible cars out there that are hugely, hugely popular. But the problem is that when you're trying to attract buyers, you're trying to give them something that they can't get from another brand. At least, in my opinion, that's what I feel like you should be trying to get buyers with. With the Catera, it is rear-wheel drive. It does have a V6. So it's got some power to it. It's not a massively powered machine. The BMWs had more horsepower. But the biggest problem is the looks. It doesn't look special. In fact, it looks as generic 90s car as I think a car can get. I saw somebody online commented that this was, when they were younger, they called this a car named from GTA 5 because it looks like just generic sedan. Somebody else said that it looked like a Pontiac GTO and a Chevy Lumina had a baby. And I don't disagree with that. It is actually on the same platform that the Pontiac GTO and the Holden Commodores share. And so it is that same platform. And that is why they look very similar. And I know there's some parts of interchangeability between those as well. And then, so Cadillac definitely failed as far as looks go. They didn't do enough to make it stand out. The other thing they did is they marketed it terribly. It was an awful marketing plan. The caddy that zigs, or zags, excuse me, whatever it is. And they had the dumb duck in the ads. And so it didn't feel like Cadillac was taking this vehicle very seriously. And they really needed to have. And then when the sales weren't great, they leased these things for next to nothing. And so you had a bunch of people who didn't have very good credit and didn't have a lot of money get a car that's European designed, European built, engineered, and you give it to them, and what are they not going to do? They're not going to maintain it very well. They're not going to, when somebody buys a BMW, they have the expectation of the higher maintenance costs, of the more frequent servicing, of the higher parts costs. But when somebody buys an American-made car, especially in the 90s, cheaper parts, less maintenance, cheaper maintenance, more simple build overall, I think. And so you really marketed this to the wrong people. And I've been looking for one of these for quite some time. And even as nice as this one looks on the outside, there are definitely some problems that are directly related to how it was previously owned and maintained. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I'm really happy to have it. And I don't have a car wizard or a car ninja. And so I'm going to go through the car with you, but hopefully this next week I'm going to call around to some local shops and see who will do a pre-purchase, even though I've already bought it, inspection on it, and have a list of all the things that they recommend that we do to it other than sell it or throw it in the trash, which I'm sure I'll get that. It is not a loved car. But kind of go through some of the things and kind of figure out what is just general maintenance that needs to be done and what really is a poor design of the car. Because I don't think that this car necessarily deserves the reputation that it has, again, just because of what it is. There's so many other factors that went into that reputation that caused it to not be a loved car. And I think if you can find a good one, which will be very hard, believe me, if you can find a good one in good mechanical and cosmetic condition, I think that these are going to be one of those that may never be a collector's car that will go up in value. It's never going to be $1 million car. But I think it's one that will eventually find some love among a certain group of people that will cherish these. And I hope I'm one of those. I hope that my experience with this will be good enough that it will remain in my stable. It's low miles. Only got, we'll go over miles and stuff like that here in a second. It's got low miles and definitely needs some work, but I think it's in good enough condition that if I can keep it nice, we'll keep it a long time. Anyways, let's go ahead and open the hood, take a look at the engine bay, and then we'll go to the interior. All right, hood open and take a look in the engine bay. I did check the oil, and it does have fairly old oil in here, so we definitely need to do a typical service on this. Like I said, I'm going to get it into a mechanic and have them just do an inspection. One of the things I want them to look at is the timing belt. This does have a timing belt, and it is an interference engine. And while this is a low mileage car, I have no idea how old that belt is. And so I want to know, before I put many miles on this, what condition it is in. And I'm guessing that it's more than 10 years old and will need to be replaced. The problem with this car, and I think this was a big problem that a lot of people have, I think the service on this timing belt is only like 60,000 miles. And so you need to replace the belt fairly often. And a lot of people, especially with American cars, they tend to have timing chains, not belts. It's not something that they think about needing to service. There was also a problem with the first year or two of cars where there was a tensioner issue and the belt would cause the would fail and destroy the engine. And so there's very few of these in wrecking yards with good engines. And so I definitely don't want to blow the engine on this because it would be very, very difficult to replace. It would junk the car, basically, because I don't know if I can even get a replacement engine, and it would not be worth rebuilding the engine on this car. So I love the way the engine bay looks. It actually looks like there's a decent amount of room to work on the engine for doing things like spark plugs or other service items. Doesn't look too bad once you take the intake off here. It has a ram air intake. Pull the camera down just a little bit. You can see intake here in front of the radiator. It comes around into the air box there on the left and into this double snorkel, double throttle body setup here. I do have a bit of a harsh idle when you first start it. It doesn't go away when the engine's warm. It goes away before that, just after a few seconds. I'm thinking I either have a bad check valve or possibly a leaking injector, so the fuel rail is not holding pressure. So that's something that we're going to have to check as well to make sure that the fuel rail is holding pressure, and that because it takes maybe 10-15 seconds and it smooths out. There's no check engine light on. The light does come on when you turn the key, and so the light does work. I haven't plugged in OBD2 scanner or anything like that to get any codes off of here. One thing I have noticed is there is an absolute crap ton of hoses on here that are just about toast. So if we look right here, you can see at that bend right here, that hose is donezo. So I'm going to be replacing a lot of rubber. So whenever a car sits, the rubber and plastic tend to wear out quickly, and so that's something that needs to be done. The brakes on this are also not great, so that's another thing that I'll definitely need to address. And again, that's just maintenance stuff on any car that's been sitting for any length of time that I'd expect to be doing anyways. Let's go ahead and go to the interior and take a look at what we got going on in there. Alright, we are off the tripod, and I apologize for the shaky cam, just because I can't have the tripod in the car. One thing with all these Cadillacs, Cateras I've looked at, and I've looked at quite a few of these over the years, is the interiors seem to hold up really well, especially the leather seats. For how old they are, again, lower mileage, but even for the mileage, the seat leather seems to be really well. It's a really good material. I don't know if it's leather, if it's pleather, or vinyl. I'll have to do some research on that. It's pretty dry. It definitely needs some conditioning to it, but no major rips or cracks. Obviously, there's a little wear on the seat. It's to be expected. It does have almost 60,000 miles on it, but no major rips or tears. And I've owned a lot of cars with similar miles that the seats are in much worse condition. Now, coming to the center console, the leather on the shift knob and the reg handle are not in such great condition. Now, one thing about this car is it definitely was smoked in, and it smells like they cleaned it and did a pretty okay job, but not an amazing job. And all the soft touch plastics, you can see like around the TCS, it's really sticky. So I need to come in here very carefully with some rubbing alcohol and clean all of the buttons on it. So that's definitely something I will need to be doing on this car. You can see where I live, there's a lot of thorns, so I need to get some floor mats for it as well, just because it's impossible to not get thorns in the car as you get in and out. It did come with the owner's manual, but no, I really wish it had the window sticker, but I'm glad it does have the owner's manual. I'll definitely be going through this here shortly. No airbag lights, no ABS lights. The only electronic thing I found so far that doesn't work is the rear driver's side window. All the other windows do work. They roll up and down just fine. So I'm not sure if it's a motor issue or a switch issue or a fuse issue. So I'm going to have to figure that out a little bit. So you can see like all this here. It's really cruddy and nasty because it had some sort of soft touch, I'm sure, on there. There are a million ashtrays in this car and they've all been used. This is kind of cool. There's a pocket that opens up for stuff and another pocket down there. Not a lot of cup holders. Got two in the back there. I'll have to pop the trunk here with a button. There's no exterior thing to pop the trunk from the back. And you can see there's some sun damage here. I'll have to re-clear coat this at some point. Trunks on these are huge. You even have a full-size spare here. I do not seem to have a jack though, unless it's in here. Yeah, no, it's missing. So that's something I'll need to see if I can find. Finding parts for this is really hard. This is where the amplifier is, I believe, for the Bose sound system. The sound system sounds really good. The speakers sound excellent, to be honest. I believe this is, yeah, that's the release for the thing. So you go in from the inside and you can reach up and open it from there if it ever gets stuck. Oh, that's what that is. I just found this. It's not covered, so I need to put that back on. It's hidden in there. I'll do that a little bit later. All right. And this, again, is the facelift model. The first generation had a taillight that went all the way across. They did away with that. These, I believe, are the original factory wheels. Pretty good looking chrome wheels. This seems to have held up pretty well, even though this has, like I said, a fair bit of sun damage. These tires are from 2011, and so you can see they're pretty cracked and dead. They're holding air just barely. I think the center caps, that three kind of circle thing, is just glue. I think that was what was holding on the Cadillac badge, and they've fallen off. So I will need some new center caps. And the door check on the driver's side is not doing a whole lot. So let's go ahead and take a look on the inside. All right, we'll insert the key. And turn off the radio. So we'll get to turn off the... I have no idea what that noise is. Might be a blend door that's going. All right. So, of course, the seller left me with no gas in it. 58,676 miles. I'll need a battery, I think. The battery's pretty old. It does have oil pressure. Plenty of that. It's not warm yet, but you can see that the idle is a little bit high. Like I said, when it first started this morning, to move it where I moved it to, it was stumbling quite a bit, so that's something I'll need to address. It does have the Bose aftermarket system, or I shouldn't say aftermarket, the upgraded system. It has a CD player and a tape deck. I will probably end up replacing this with something that does Apple CarPlay, just because it is the modern era and I don't even know where any of my CDs are. They're in a box somewhere. So yeah, we'll get to that at some point if this car is something I'll end up keeping. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, personal experiences with this car, definitely let me know, because it's something that like I said, I've been wanting one of these for a hot minute. Basically ever since I came back from living in Europe. And I've tried to buy one probably a half a dozen times over the years, and most of the ones I went to look at were just trash. They were done. Engines had bad timing. The engines timing belts had obviously skipped a tooth or something, or the insides were terrible, or they had rust, serious rust problems, stuff like that. So it's hard to purchase something that's in this kind of quality, the head liners falling down, things like that. But hopefully I can kind of bring it back to some of its former glory and enjoy the car and fix the few issues that it has. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, definitely leave those down below. I'll do my best to answer those in a timely manner. I hope you enjoy this video and the eventual updates that come. There'll be at least one more after I get it back from the mechanic, telling me what needs to be done to it, and from there we'll decide if I've wasted the money on it. And I did pay $3,000 for the car. It was an eBay auction, and then I paid another $600 to ship it to me. I could have towed it, but the cost of gas and renting a trailer was almost $400, and then I would have had to probably get a hotel room, which is another $100. So it really was a wash as far as my cost would have been to go pick it up. So I went ahead and paid for a shipper to bring it to me, and I got it faster than I would have gotten to picking it up myself. Yeah, I know I left the key in. I'll need to spray that lock cylinder with the little WD-40. It's a little sticky. With a lot of this car, it's a little sticky. And you see like the sun damage on these locks here. And this door, somebody's been in this door, and they didn't put it back on correctly. I'll need to fix that here as well. That's, again, car is almost 25 years old. One thing I plan on doing with this is the build date. If we come in here to the door, where is it on this sticker? Yeah, so it was built November of '99, so I qualify for the Arizona historic vehicle plates. So I plan on getting those. If you haven't seen those, they're a really heavy duty copper. I don't know if they still are, but they were originally made with Arizona copper, mined copper. So they're really cool. I like them, so hoping to get them for this. And yeah, let me know if you have any thoughts or comments. Thank you for watching. Hope you have an amazing day.